right, let's jump into it. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, there are three categories where you should be categorizing yourself in order to follow the path of rise. Okay. Now, based on your passion, your niche, the experience that you have in that particular area of expertise that you are anticipating to work on, you require those tech skills, the experience of sales, in case you've already gone through it, the content marketing activity that requires through social media or through a live session with the customers, or you already have a series of customers who you've presented certain data which has been acceptable to them and they've been imbibing on it, or you already have an email list, or you don't have an email list and you're starting from scratch. So that is where these things will get categorized through. Right now, uh, also based on the until the time or the experience that you passed on with your passions and your activities and your, other activities that you wanted to scale up to now, you might be having a strategy, you might not be having a strategy, right? Where now based on that, there is also, as you see on your screen, a niche validation process where based on your category, you might have to take so much of time to get and develop those skills that we've been just talking about. Okay, so if you go back to where I was talking about, if you see the matrix on your screen, right, you will need to go through each of these categories and maybe do a tick mark based on a printout that you do or on screen or whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, take a shot of this, go to a PP file or go to whatever you use for your activities, right, a Word file or whatever, and tick mark the areas that best suit your situation. Okay, so for example, right, assuming you're just starting off this journey as a fresher, right? What I mean by that is that you have a passion. For example, you are an artist, right? Who love you have the skills of a particular type of art, right? Maybe you do say Varli paintings. Maybe you are capable of doing sketching, right? Maybe you are an oil painting artist, one of those. So, but now you want to take this rise journey so that you can take those capabilities, what you're passionate about, and maybe teach it to others, maybe create digital art through using other digital kind of formats out there, or just printing them, creating an e-commerce site, or you might want to create an app to do these things, or you want to simply make a course out of this and start teaching art to some people, right? So suppose that is the case scenario. Let's take that as an example and take it through. Now, from a perspective of your passion, as I just described, as an artist, you have the passion to grow. You have the urge, you have a desire to reach to the top and becoming that person who exhibits art, who trains art, who is capable of doing various kinds of art also at the same time, or whatever that is, right? So that becomes the first box that needs to get tick marked, right? Now, some of them who in this case could already be growing because they've probably done some 100 kind of sketches out there, or have gone to 3 or 4 exhibition and displayed the products and sold maybe hundreds of products of theirs. Then they would probably fall into the other two brackets of a pro or a master, right? Suppose you've done nothing, you've just been painting, it is there lying in your studio, in your house, or wherever there is, right? But that's a passion to grow. You become a novice from that first point of view. Right? Niche. The second area is, I just mentioned to you, right? You could be a sketch artist, could be oil painting artist, could be hardly a kind of painter, right? So, so once you know that, again, you are a professional, you've been doing that for some time, right? Then you might fall into that category of a, of a professional, right, in that subject. And if you've been known for that, where people approach you to get that kind of sketch or a barley painting or something done, then you basically become a master because you're better than a lot of others out there. Okay? So then you categorize yourself accordingly. But people don't know you. You've done nothing. You've been paying, but you're confident that whatever you pay is the thing out there, and people would love it. But you've just not gone out there to come to the novice category again. Okay, experience, right? About experience, okay, it's a little subjective, but here's what it is. The thumb rule is if you spend 10,000 hours on something, right, that makes you a master. For example, in Olympics, people who's a sprinter, for example, right, the athletes out there, they are known to be spending more than 10,000 hours until the time they get to a level of pro. And if they break records there, then they become a master. Okay? So, so if you're an Olympic kind of an Olympiad, you need to complete those 10,000 hours of your practice until you get there as a professional. Right? Now, using that as maybe some sort of an analogy here, right? If you not spend as much time in the art that you've done, but there's an idol or somebody that you follow through over there who's much better than you, right? Now you consider him as a master. So once you reach that stage, maybe that is a master for you in your experience levels, right? But if you started off, you're capable of doing this, and you want to get that to that point, you're still a novice, right? So, and I'm continuing with the art as one of the things because again, this is something which is away from a lot of other activities that happen out there. Okay, so that you get a better view on this. Uh, Now, as a professional in that artist category, you might know what goes out there, okay, globally. I'm not talking not local, I'm talking globally. So you've been at attending maybe the art fairs in Paris. You've been going to the museums out there. You know how you stand with your paintings out there, and some of the people know you because you do these things, and you might be circulating with them, right? So the people who know you for that particular art. Maybe, and you might be good at the second or third activity. It could be maybe sketching or oil painting artist that you are, but they don't know you for that. So you're not a professional in that sense for them. Okay, so so you have to demarcate yourself between a novice, a pro, or a master accordingly, and then you tick mark that category accordingly. So suppose again going back that nobody knows you, you've done this for yourself, you know you're very good at it, now you have to get yourself to go as a novice. Right? Now, so the top three basically are again something inherent to you that you have done yourself or you've been building up and on. Right? Now coming to the areas which you can build up or you already know to get to that next level, maybe the rise to and then above that. Okay? The tech skills. Tech skills are required to create an ecosystem for digital assets. Okay, and digital assets in this case could be your digital art online, could be a course that you create, the book that you write on the specific category of art activity that you do, and so on and so forth. Right? That list is too long, and we cover those lists during the digital asset times. Okay, but I assume you're getting the view that I'm coming from. Okay, so with that said, the technical skills pertaining to the IT technical skills, that means using a laptop, connecting to the right kind of applications, attaching the right kind of equipment around this so that you can use it appropriately. Okay, so that's the part of the tech skills. These will be requiring, as part of your basics for creating a system around you, which you can use on your own and run with it. Okay. Uh, Okay. Uh, if you see in the master category, experience in training for possesses technical skills. Now, somebody who can train a particular activity is then in the master zone, right? Typically, or a pro will be doing enough and is ready to teach is another pro category. So you have to decide where you stand. Again, in this case, again, let me do that. Because you go through the your specific. So let's go to the sales experience. Artist, when you tell an artist that you will sell, he's an artist, yeah, for God's sake. He's an artist. He will not know, he will not want to do any sales for it because he knows he's the best at that and whatever he does. Right? But again, get into that zone where sales is a service. Now, this art piece or whatever that one creates is required by somebody either to cherish it every day of their life, put it on the walls, in their corporate offices, or just give it as a gift to someone. Now, by giving it to that finding that person who requires and giving it to him, it's a service. For that service, you're charging a fee. You might get a fee for it. Right? So come with that mindset. Once you develop that mindset, once you don't have the mindset, you're a novice. Right? Once you develop the mindset, you get a second category, which is a little confident. I've gone to exhibitions, I've gone about selling proactively some of these ones, right? And it has gone through well, but I don't do it very confidently. I'm not very confident doing that. Okay, so you are in between a novice and a pro, but as a pro, because you make an art, you know you have to sell it, so you're doing it. Okay, but it doesn't come within. But as a master, right? You've gone to your own exhibitions, you ensured so that you get your money's back worth because you know there are lots of people out there who are looking for your art and want it, and you're reaching out to them to get it, and in the process you do the sales. That makes you the master category. Right? So again, analogy of art, how it works in different zones. So you place yourself accordingly. Now again, assume you have not done any selling, no exhibitions, nothing. I just do it. I keep it for myself for now, but I need to do it. Right? How do I do it? That's what you get into learning experience during the system builder process, and how the system will help you sell it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Content marketing. Okay, this world, so some of you who might know already is social world, right? Where you develop blogs, you develop vlogs, you have YouTube channels, you have your Instagrams, you have your Facebook activities, and so on and so forth, right? The world is open for that. You would have done to some extent, you would have tried a few, right? And for some of you, you're doing it like almost every day of your life. If you're doing it every day of your life, you that means have certain followers. If you have certain followers, then you're a master of the game because you know how to create those followers. As a pro, you've done some content marketing. You're not bothered about what the followers are, what they're doing, and how they do it, and you're not bothered to kind of garner them through. You're in the pro category because you know your art, you know the persona of the people that you want to follow through, but you're just not breaking it through, right? So you're in the pro category. In the novice category, no email list, not done anything, never done anything, would want to do, but I'm there waiting for you guys to teach me. That's your novice. Get to the next level, right? Same goes as mentioned, the email list. If you have a big email list, you're a master. You have some would mean, okay, now some is even from 100 or rather 10, I would say, to a 1,000 category, right? You're a pro. Getting followers for you that you can follow through with, you're a pro. Because you can build from there, you cannot come down from there. Novice doesn't have any lists. Yeah? Okay. Now with that said, the other inherent skill or the activities you've been doing, as I mentioned, is a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you're a novice. You have tried a few things, reaching out to people, talking to your friends, going to your neighbors' houses, talking to their friends and trying to sell that you know what you do, or they know you what you do. Some of them come to see you. They know you as a pro because you develop that particular kind of art and they want to reach out to you at the right time. So you're a pro in that sense. Master is in this category would be a person who works on a clear strategy. That would mean he has a process that every quarter I'll put one exhibition. I want to sell 3 paintings, which are the top level. I want to sell 5 paintings at the low level, and I have hundreds of paintings for my corporate level. Whatever. The numbers are just for the fictitious number. You can turn it around the way you want it. That's a master. Master will know what he's doing, how he's doing it, and to what extent he wants to go with it. Okay, then you categorize yourself there. Clear? I hope this now gives you an overview of how to categorize yourself in the respective novice, pro, and the master category. These are important because the journeys for each of them in Rise are going to be different. Okay? Let's understand why. Now, if you see, right, so if you realized we've been through those three categories from the previous one, now here what you need to understand is that the journey for each is going to be different as we discussed. Now, in the first 3 months, right, these are crucial for a novice. He will get to a point where he's developed a mindset, he or she in this case, uh, or otherwise. The mindset is being developed for growth or whatever area of elements that one wants to rise into, fixated and are very sure of the niche. They will have generated consultations. In this case, could be like in the case of an artist, would be in case he or she has developed a course, then to teach, they might have a one-on-one meeting with their respective subjects to go about clearing out their problems, helping them practically on things, and so on and so forth. So they would have completed these one-on-ones with at least hundreds of those. Okay. The subsequent one, which is about generating 100 questions, is where it is part of the research activity, right? And we'll go into deeper details in the subsequent ones, where one generates 100 questions to understand what is it that people are looking for in that specific, maybe the art category or that specific element of activities that one wants to progress in. Okay, and then you answer knowing what the issue is, so you find solutions. That is the purpose of the 100 questions mentioned there, and we go into deeper details. So they have generated these 100 questions, they have answers to these things, and then they start growing their influence by virtue of social activities, which we'll cover again in the subsequent ones, by how do we do this. And then in the process of doing that, they have created a few followers, which they then start now to compound in a particular way that will be taught to by building systems. Right? Pro has a little different approach. Pro moves to a master zone, right? Probably he or she would have now had the right mindset. They position themselves. They've gone about creating at least 10 consultations, because from a novice, they've moved into the, they've already done 100, so they're doing 20 more, right? So that now they are getting into the zone of, into the master mode, because their focus now changes towards other elements of things, right? Which could be the setup, the system setup that they're doing, how they go about, doing it in a very automated fashion compared to a novice would, right? Because they have moved to the chain. How they create their social media ads, including FB and Google's and the others of the world that we will be kind of focusing on. Then the lead magnet activities, right? Now they go about enhancing those selling activities and so on and so forth, so that they start reaching the master zone. Now, the rest of the things are quite self-explanatory. The two specific things I would like to mention is in the end of the year, right? When you move or you want to move from a novice to a pro, you could move even earlier if you achieve all that. The key goals one should have is the currency valuation that one receives in terms of income. Second is the number of customers that one has developed. Okay, the two things that is mentioned through, if you see the bottom end of the matrix, the goals, if it's 500,000 of any currency, right? If you're in US, should be 500,000 of USD per month. If you're in Europe, it would be euro 500,000, of sorts every month. You've developed maybe 500, at least 500 customers or followers who are kind of working your way through. Now imagine, now I mentioned customers, then I mentioned followers, right? Followers are typically more compared to customers, because followers will follow you for a reason that they want to learn something from you. Customers are something that already bought something from you, right? And then you will understand during when we go through the digital assets and blitzscaling activities, you'll understand CTA and other mention of these acronyms, which stands for, click-throughs and the cost of acquisitions and stuff like that. Uh, the Because that's where you actually build up your efficiencies to convert customers and so on and so forth. So focus on two things, right? Your goal should be the dollar value or the currency value that you kind of get input from, or is your income, or as well as you should have the customers which should have that particular scale. These are thresholds that I mentioned for a lot of common ones that are being happening out there. So 500 customers and the 1,000 and 5,000 customers that I mentioned through is all about from that range, right? So this is what will give you a complete categorization of yourself, where you stand once you achieve those particular sub and sub specific goals based on these matrix items that have been mentioned through. Okay, now let's jump into your skill activities. All right, I'll see you there.